Jaylen Warren is questionable with a back injury. Corey Trice is questionable. His 21-day window was opened the other day. He was a full participant in practice the last 2 days. Got to feel pretty good about that one. And then where we stand, MyCole Pruitt is doubtful with a knee injury, a lingering knee injury. Alex Highsmith and CJ Henderson are out in this one for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everyone's got the same questions. Is Jaylen Warren going to go? Is Corey Trice going to come back? I think you could break this into two conversations. Jaylen Warren probably isn't going to go. If I had to guess, questionable means not great. He went from a full participant to do not practice to a limited participant. Tomorrow will be massive. I know Jaylen Warren, and I know he will want to play. I know he will want to push through injury. I do not anticipate this being a tomorrow we get an update that Jaylen Warren is off the injury report. I do anticipate this going right up until game time when they will make their final call. A back injury is tough. If he does play, it will be limited. Cordero Patterson will see much more of the field than Jaylen Warren does. I just don't know how you suffer a back injury in the middle of the week as a running back who's already dealt with a number of injuries this season and make your return by Sunday with no limitations. That one questions me. How will the Steelers adjust? And we'll know tomorrow. We'll get hints. The Steelers will either call up Jonathan Ward from the practice squad or they will not. And if they do, Jaylen Warren isn't going to play. If they don't, chances are Jaylen Warren does play, but in a limited snap count is my guess. This is my guess, not my reporting. A limited snap count against the Ravens simply because, I mean, a back injury is serious, and you're not trying to lose anybody right now. You're not trying to beat the Ravens and set yourself up for the rest of the season without one of your top offensive contributors and say, you know what? We're good, pal. Well, we beat the Ravens. We have a 1.5 game lead in the AFC North. We'll just throw it all away. No, that's not what they're trying to do. Corey Trice, on the other hand, I think is very interesting because CJ Henderson doesn't move the needle at all. He wasn't going to be active either way. Dante Jackson goes into the week or weekend without an injury diagnosis. And that means, or designation, excuse me, not diagnosis, designation. And that means he's going to play and he's going to be good. And the Steelers expect him to be full go Dante Jackson. So do you really need a Corey Trice? I don't think so. I don't think there's a pressing issue to have a Corey Trice. If you activate him, you have to make some sort of roster move somewhere, which would most likely be CJ Henderson getting the chopping block here for a Corey Trice. And then you'd have to make somebody inactive, which I guess this week works out because MyCole Pruitt is doubtful. He's probably going to be inactive, but it's just a lot of moving parts to make on a Saturday morning before a Baltimore Ravens game. I would say I see Corey Trice playing. It would not surprise me if he doesn't, if that makes sense. I can see him if somebody said, do you guess Corey Trice will be back? I'd say yes. If somebody said, what are the odds? I'd say 50%, because it does not surprise me or would not surprise me if the Pittsburgh Steelers say we are going to wait until next week because it's just easier that way. And we don't really necessarily need a Corey Trice to be back on the field, to be cornerback 3 when we have Cam Sutton and James Pierre back there, and we feel pretty okay. That being said, if you're full go, if you're ready to rock, put him out there. Guys, there is no better place to be during football season than at a Pittsburgh Steelers game. And now, Game Time has this new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I, as everybody knows, am going to see Creed in a couple of weeks, and it was effortless finding my tickets on Game Time. Why? Because They lay everything out for you. All-in pricing shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkouts. Seat Views means that you get to see a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you ever buy the tickets. The lowest price guaranteed or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code ALLSteelers for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code ALLSTEELERS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. So I'm lingering on Jaylen Warren. I want to say no, but there's something inside me that says Jaylen Warren will push through a back injury. Corey Trice, I'm saying yes, but it wouldn't surprise me the other way around, where both of these guys could play. I think there's a better chance Corey Trice does in this one. Do either of them change your thoughts on this game if they do or do not go?
No, because I think if either of them play, it's going to be, like you mentioned, in a very limited capacity. It's not like the Steelers have Jaylen Warren and then it's Benny Snell, right? They have Jaylen Warren, they have Najee Harris, and they have Cordero Patterson. So in this game, if Warren's going to get in at all, it's probably going to be limited. His snaps are probably going to be split between him and Cordero Patterson. I would imagine Najee gets a full workload just because Najee always gets himself a full workload. So if he plays, I don't imagine him going in there and taking a lot of massive hits. I don't imagine him getting a lot of numbers called his way. For Corey Trice, I mean, at the same time, you got to see the forest through the trees. That'd be different if this was a young guy that's coming off his first injury, but other than that, he's been relatively healthy. He missed all of last season due to an injury, and he's been out since week 3. So this is a guy who's only played in 3 National Football League games. You want to make sure that he's 100% healthy before you put him out there, because I understand James Pierre, he held up last week. Cam Sutton's a guy that you feel you can trust as he's continuing to get on this moving train. But for Corey Trice, that is somebody you want to be at full strength once you get to week 16, week 17, into the playoffs, because that's a guy that you're going to want to be able to count on late in the season, because he's shown when he's healthy, he can be very good, right? He's played in 3 games. He has a massive pick in one of those 3 games. So there's no need to rush him back, even though this is an important game. I think that at his position, for what he's been, you need to make sure that you're taking it easy with him. And I get it. Mike Tomlin always says we don't live in our fears, but sometimes you need to protect other players, and you have to make sure you say, whoa, other than sick him, especially for a young guy who's still developing and probably needs to make sure he's 100% before going out into one of the most physical battles the NFL sees every single year.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between living in your fears and making sure somebody is healthy for the longevity of your season, instead of just I don't think those are 2 different situations for Mike Tomlin. I think he's aware of that. I agree with you, though. I don't know if I'm risking it this week, just like Jaylen Warren. I don't think I'm risking it this week to get some guys out there when you don't necessarily need them. It's not do or die situations. If this was Najee Harris, he's playing. And he is playing. He's dealing with an ankle injury, but he's playing. If this is Russell Wilson, he's playing. If this is Joey Porter, if this is Dante Jackson, he's playing. Yeah. And there's a difference between these guys. I think we'll have an understanding, an answer on both of them tomorrow by 4:00, which is when roster moves need to be made. If Corey Trice is activated, he's good to go, obviously. And if Jonathan Ward gets called up, Jaylen Warren's done. If he doesn't, Jaylen Warren set to go against the Baltimore Ravens. But overall, pretty healthy week for the Pittsburgh Steelers outside of Alex Highsmith. But to get Nick Herbig back is pretty massive for the Steelers. And Michael Pruitt opens the door for Connor Hayward, opens the door for Darnell Washington, opens the door for a little bit of Cordero Patterson playing that little halfback off the line role that he started playing last week, that I very much so enjoyed seeing him play over there, because I think he's a pretty good blocker and a big body to have.